Hey, what's going on, guys? Another knife review. Today we're looking at the new VR-71 by Jason Brous. Beautiful, beautiful knife. We got a little glimpse of this at the 2014 SHOT Show. I think the only changes from the show into this modern version or current version is, if memory serves me correct, I think they were titanium liners, and he went with a stainless liners for the final knife. But just a small change, absolutely beautiful. Fits great in the hand, very ergonomic, feels great, slices like you wouldn't believe, extremely sharp. We have a 4-inch D2 blade, hollow ground, so you can see that nice grind, the light glimmering across it. 3/16 inches on our blade stock, 5 inches closed. Again, stainless liners with carbon fiber scales, very thin scales, okay, low profile, doesn't make the knife too thick. Gives it a beautiful look. All right, very sleek, very clean look. I like the design. You know, overall, the shape of the knife is definitely my style. Jason's got a lot of knives. He's a very versatile knife designer. A lot of different designs out there. Some I like more than others. None of them I really hate, but this is definitely one of the more sexier ones in my opinion, as far as just the natural, organic lines to it. Overall length is 8 3/4 inches, and the weight is 6 ounces. This one is the satin version. The satin is $3.99. If you want a stonewash, it's actually even cheaper because the process is cheaper, so it's $3.29. The blackout, which is of course all black with hardware, that's $4.29, and then the acid stonewash is $4.39. So different finishes on this, different options. Really, it depends. You know, these things always go fast. Check all the major, dealers out there. Blade Ops, Blade HQ, and so forth. They carry Jason's stuff. Of course, you can contact Jason directly and try to get one, but these don't last very long. This is a run of 500. This one happens to be number 46. Absolutely beautiful knife. Carries very, very nicely in the pocket. And speaking of which, I want to go right to that pocket clip here and talk about this. Very low profile clip. All right, Brous blades right on there. My first concern when I got this was, this is going to be too fragile. This is a fragile pocket clip, and turns out it's not. It's extremely thin, but it's durable. I wouldn't hyperextend it, obviously, because it's a thinner stock. If you were to snag it on something, seatbelt in the car or something in the house, and really hyperextend that, of course, it wouldn't hold its shape anymore. But that's pretty much all pocket clips, even the thicker ones. So my original concern is no longer concern. Carries very nicely in the pocket. It's got enough spring tension. Being thin like this, I didn't think it would hold very nice. I thought because of this nice smooth scale that it would kind of flop around in the pocket a little bit and not really grip how I wanted to, but I was completely wrong. It held beautifully, just like pretty much any other good pocket clip out there. Very nice. You do have the lanyard hole slot if you choose to put a lanyard on here. A lot of people are buying knives like this, get them for display purposes, they get them for their collections, they don't really use them much. So I see a lot of guys will put like a cool matching lanyard on there and display it in a case somewhere. Totally fine. As far as functionality, if you want to throw a lanyard on there to actually use it, that's fine. But I haven't used lanyards on folders in a while, so I didn't put one on here. But yeah, holds really nice in the pocket, tip up, right side carry, as you get it from Jason. Absolutely beautiful knife. It is a flipper design, as you can see here. First thing I want to mention about the flipper is that I love Jason's flipper design. Aesthetically, it is the coolest looking flipper out there. However, because of this upswept design, even though everything's rounded here nicely, it could be uncomfortable. If you're like me, you play with your knives all day long and you're constantly flipping them out and you're constantly taking them out to cut things and obsess over your knives pretty much. You look at them, you gawk at them, you play with them. If you're doing that, this gets very uncomfortable very fast, but I have a very simple tip. His flippers, flipping models work flawlessly. Nice detent there. All right, nice strong detent. So what happens is, first of all, it's not going to shake out in your pocket. All right, so it's safe to carry. Also, when you're flipping it out, it creates enough tension so that when it does pop out of that detent, it swings that blade completely open. Makes for a nice, smooth, functional, flipper. With his specific flippers, I found that it's much more comfortable to do a sweeping motion around. Instead of pushing down, okay, you can just push down and in, and it opens. It opens every single time, basically like pushing in. But that makes your fingers sore after a while. All right, so my suggestion or recommendation, you can try this with pretty much any flipper, instead of pushing straight in, sweep around. Do like a little hook motion, just like that with the side of your finger. All right, works just as nicely, but it's much more comfortable on that finger. It'll save your fingertip, all right, so it's not sore. A little sweeping motion comes out just as fast, but it is much more comfortable to use it that way. As far as the blade design here, it is absolutely beautiful. That D2, razor sharp from Jason, just as expected from all the knives I've ever gotten from him. Just an absolutely hair-popping sharp out of the box. Nice blade style on this, very acute. From this point on, you can see how slender this is. All right, so as far as penetration, cutting into boxes, things like that, which most of my cutting is cutting into boxes. Cutting plastic straps and stuff like that doesn't really matter that much. There's enough belly here for good slicing, but I do tend to prefer narrower blades just because of the fact that a lot of what we're all doing is piercing. We don't really think about it. I talk about this all the time, you know, stabbing. How often we really stab? Rare. It's extremely rare we stab, but what we really do is we pierce a lot. We're not holding a knife like this and stabbing in the, you know, if you say stab something, this is what I think of. I think of holding it in a reverse grip and, you know, jamming it into something. No, this is still stabbing, and that's what we're doing. We're piercing into boxes. The fatter your point, the point of your knife is, or your tip, the more resistance you're gonna have, all right? So a slender tip like this, or, you know, a leaner knife blade altogether will be a little bit easier to penetrate into boxes, you know. Add, of course, a nice sharp edge and a good point on there, and it's even better. So I do like the design quite a bit. It's very easy to use, and specifically with, you know, cutting into boxes and then slicing across, it's been beautiful. Like I said, there's enough belly here. It's a nice constant curvature on that blade, so it's a really good slicer. If you don't like the flipper design, there's a hole in the blade as well. It's not just good for backup. I don't always use the flipper. I tend to use it more times than not, but occasionally I will open it like this. All right, it's obviously more covert or quieter when you whip out a knife and pop it out like that. Some people get scared. It's not sheeple friendly. So it's nice to have the option, obviously, to open it that way. Because it is a hole through, it is ambidextrous. Of course, the flipper is ambidextrous to begin with. So besides the you know, right side carry, it is lefty friendly as well as righty friendly. So ambidextrous is very good. The carbon fiber scales on here are very thin. All right, so it keeps a lower profile. You can see the difference in the thickness here. The liners are about twice as thick as the scales. All right, beautiful look on this. There is contouring in the carbon fiber. You can probably see that. I don't know how well you can pick it up, but there's right in this section right here, it actually slants down a little bit, you know, for when your finger wraps around. It also matches on the other side. If you get the glare right, you can see there's basically a little sanding in this section right here. All right, so there is contouring, even though it's thin, very thin. It's not just a flat scale. There's a lot of curvature in here. It's just hard to detect because of the nature of carbon fiber deflecting that light. But absolutely beautiful, really nice. Of course, Torx screws all throughout. We have a double head here, all right, so it's not just a flat on one side, Torx on both for the pivot screw. We have a liner lock here, nice thick liner, and early lockup. There is no blade play whatsoever. Every time I open this thing up, locks up perfectly. All right, no wiggle in any direction. Centering is spot on. It is just a very well done knife. As far as the ergonomics here, it is very comfortable in the hand. Handle shape is a little reminiscent of the Kershaw bump in that we have a swell, very wide swell in the middle here, and a deep finger choil. All right, so you can see the finger kind of falls into place here, but this really fills out the hand. A little bit of a thumb ramp here. The jimping is all very functional, okay, very nicely textured. If you want to grip up a little bit with your thumb here or your pointer finger, it locks in very nicely. But it's most aggressive right here in the liner. In a reverse grip, okay, or spacer rather, in a reverse grip, your hand is not going to slip at all. But your thumb really locks in here. I believe this is like a G10. It's extremely aggressive, all right? It's raised here, all right? So your thumb really locks in the reverse grip. And as far as the standard grip, it kind of locks into the palm. I found with heavier cutting, you start to get a little bit sore here inside the palm just because that's aggressive, but it wasn't enough to to make me want to, stop cutting or anything like that. So it's aggressive, but not overly done. Just really, really nice performing knife, a beautiful knife. Anyone who can get these knives, who can afford to buy these knives, use them. Use these knives. These knives are not just for show. They're all very beautiful works of art that are functional. They're functional tools. All right, and just because a knife is expensive or a knife is high end, it doesn't mean you can't use them. If anything, you'd prefer to use them over anything else. So it's a beautiful work of art. It's a very collectible knife, but at the same time, it's a very usable knife. By design, it's fantastic to actually get out and use. So it's a shame that there's so many that just sit in behind glass display cases. But kudos to the people who actually go out and use these, like myself. Give myself a pat on the back because it's an honor to be able to use a nice knife. So many people get them and they don't know how awesome they really are. Not just to look at, but to actually cut stuff with. All right, before I go, I want to show you the packaging this came in, talk about it a little bit. This is the box this knife came in. It's a nice, hard case. It's going to protect your knife. All right, it's got the authenticity card in there, your born date, and a nice foam liner. This is just a small detail that I certainly appreciate. All right, plus you got some decals and stuff. It's knife swag. Who doesn't like knife swag? And although when you buy a knife, you're buying the knife for the knife, whether you're displaying it, collecting it, using it, whatever. The packaging doesn't matter all that much. You guys know that I'm always throwing out my boxes. I don't store any kind of packaging, but I do keep the packaging I get from Jason's stuff, because of the fact that it's really high quality and it's nice. And I just want to point out, these are small details that people really appreciate, particularly collectors. If you buy a nice collector's knife and it comes in a plastic bag, okay, not the end of the world, it's not that big of a deal, but how much nicer is it to get a nice case like this? All right, so I can certainly appreciate the extras that Jason always throws in with all of his products. It's just really cool, this new box, it really, the knife itself is enough. That's what you get is obviously the knife. But what a nice surprise to get a really cool packaging for it, So I wanted to point out because it's something I certainly appreciate. So in the details. But anyway, that's it. That's my review of the VR-71. It is a beautiful knife. If you like the design, there's no bad expectations. You can certainly use the thing all day long if you wanted to. It is a great knife and extremely useful. So hope you guys enjoyed the review. I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Take care.